DJing has been a respected art form for the past 30 years, from turntable masters like Philly own DJ Cash Money to Run DMC's DJ Jam Master Jay, and of course Salt and Pepper's DJ Spinderella. It was no mistaking that DJs created pulse, the pulse behind the music. However, in today's music scene, it appears DJing has evolved into something else, which some argue that is not the true form of DJing or the true art. With growing EDM producers jumping into the DJ space at sold-out festivals and just press playing, I said press playing, but that's what they're doing, just press and play to a preset music, controversy has risen. Joining me now to talk about the difference between the DJ and the producer is Bruce Genovese from EDM Sauce. Give it up to him. Woo!
How you guys doing?
Reppin' Philly, DJ producer, DJ Excel.
Yeah.
And my boy, international tour DJ, DJ Aktive. What up, man?
What's up, brother? All right.
Can we get into this DJ discussion?
Yeah,
please.
Please.
All right. Gotta get ready.
Yeah,
you know I'm a DJ myself. This is big talk.
Yes,
Excel, I'm gonna start with you.
Okay.
What is a DJ in today's music culture?
I mean, that term has gotten used so loosely that it's hard to really define what it is. Depending on who you ask, I think everyone's definition is a bit different. I know my definition is still what it was, the DJ, the guy that plays the music that he thinks is great to entertain people, manipulate music, mix music together, and just create an overall great vibe for the crowd that's in front of you.
Bruce, can you hear me, Bruce? I want to get your perspective. I want to get your perspective on this. What do you feel like the DJ is now in today's culture?
Well, I mean, it's really evolved from what it was, I mean, 10, even 20 years ago. Right now, I mean, DJing is really a mixture of production as well as just live mixing. I mean, because you could get all these artists that are live mixing with their sets or with launch pads and everything else and creating new songs.
Okay. Aktive, I've got to come to you for this one, man. 20 years ago, what defined a DJ, and does that still hold up today?
I think it still holds up today, but I think defining a DJ 20 years ago was a little bit different. 20 years ago, it was all about, you had crates, you had records with crates. You also had DJing, well, basically it started out in the park, so it's a little bit different. We had turntables then, we had mixers, like original old school mixes then. So, but now it's more digital. You have the CDJs, they have a lot of controllers, so it kind of switched over a little bit now.
Excel, I want you to expound on that, man. Just what's the biggest difference, man, between 20 years ago and now?
I mean, you know, 20 years ago, when you go to when we were still very young and no one really knew at that point that you were able to make a career from it, watching the movie Juice was probably the furthest goal that you had. Just being able to go back to back on a Big Daddy Kane record in a club
take it over the top,
was just enough. You know what I mean? Being able to record a little mix and you scratch and somebody give you props was just enough.
Yep.
And the difference now is that, you know, the work and the authenticity that was put into it back then isn't the same. Now, not saying for everyone, but for a good portion of people, they just want to get to the festival or headline the biggest club without putting in the work, not knowing that, you know, some of the biggest names that still fall on the DJ side had to spend years of just being in their basement or being in their room.
Practicing.
Practicing and perfecting a craft.
Put in work.
Right. And, you know, that was the huge difference. And the guys from back then were proud. You were proud to say that you came up with this creative name and that's who you were and that's who your identity was.
Right.
And you lived that 100% from the day, you know, from the time you woke up to the time you went to sleep.
Okay, now I got another question for both of y'all. As an audience, should we be referring to these DJs as performers or as musicians showcasing their music and talents?
That go both ways.
You okay?
I mean, because with musicians, I mean, it is an art form, you know, but then as a performer, I mean, if you're remixing and stuff, you're basically you are performing at that point. You're definitely performing.
At this point, everybody DJ or just push button or whatever, you're performing. You're performing in front of a crowd of people.
You're giving a show.
I mean, the dude that makes balloon animals is
performing.
He's performing, and the dude that's a mime is, you know, he's also performing. So, yeah, you're all performers, and that's a beautiful thing because keep in mind, 20 years ago, no one saw him. You know what I mean? He just came into the
back.
club and he would be in a back corner someplace, and no one really knew that you were there. You just entertained people, whether they had a good time or they had a great time.
Right.
They didn't know he wasn't in the forefront. And now DJing puts you in the center. You're center stage. You are everything, and people get to see you, and you're billed that way as an artist. So with all the changes came something
better came.
Yeah, huge.
With that.
But it also came with, some negative stuff, because like anything, people are going to abuse certain things. And
such as Serato, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah,
Serato.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
it's a good and bad.
We were at the beginning of it, and when Serato first showed, we were actually at the DJ show when they first presented what this was. And
for people that don't know what Serato is, if you're watching, that's the program where you use your laptop while you're DJing.
Yeah, yeah. But keep in mind, you have to use records, and
you still have to use
records. You don't have to, but the way it was,
that's why we're having this conversation.
The way that it started was it worked with records. It worked with the records, and all it pretty much did was gave you the ability to have your record collection without having to take the physical records. It didn't mix for you. It didn't show you anything other than just, here go your songs. Now you can use these special time-coded records.
Right.
And then with that, other technology came out that made it less and less more of an art form and more computer driven, where if you push this button, it would actually fix the mix that you should have been able to perfect in your head, or it started to show you more that when you were just playing records, it didn't show you anything. You had to figure out what records mixed with each other.
Exactly.
And
that's all about counting beats then.
Right, and you had to be able to find that song without searching it by name. You had to just know this was the picture of the record label or something. So, I mean, things did change. But like I said, a lot of us, even sitting on the stage right now, probably wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for the changes that came to make you more of a big deal.
A big
than
deal
just
DJ,
the guy that played the local
records
club.
in the back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want to welcome Nick to the conversation. What's going on, Nick?
What's up, Nick?
What up?
All right, Nick, I'm coming right to you, man. Thank you for joining us. As most DJs today are just producers trying to get the spotlight and from out the shadows of artists. Do you feel like that's true? That's what these producers are that are DJing now. Are they just producers that's trying to get some spotlight?
No, I mean, it's two separate things. I mean, there are people who are DJs and then made the transition to producing.
Okay.
Then there's people who just are studio guys that blew up.
Okay, simple as that?
One isn't better or worse than the other. It's just two different things. At the end of the day, you have to have a connection with the audience.
Okay, Nick, I'm gonna stay with you. I'm gonna stay with you, Nick. Some big name producers like David Guetta and Steve Angelo have been criticized for faking or pre-recording their sets. Why is that so controversial? And then I'm gonna open that up to the floor.
I mean, I don't think that you need to have like this Law and Order investigative journalism. Like, if there's this gotcha culture, like people want to be the first person to post up a video like his mixer's not plugged in. But the reality of these situations is a lot more complex than that. If you're on stage in front of 100,000 people, yes, you want your track to sync along with the explosion and the firebombs so you don't incinerate. You know what I mean? It'd be a much different situation if you saw any of these guys who have been DJing for 20, 30 years inside an actual nightclub. Like, a festival stage and a club are two different environments that require different setups. At the end of the day, technical stuff is not as interesting as the connection you make with the audience.
Excel, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, we talked about this before we even started, and I said to you, a lot of times, because there's more theatrics to it, you have to have it pre-planned. Someone has to program a light show according to what's going on. And with dance music, there's dropouts where there's no music at all, then there's builds. And a lot of that doesn't have the same effect on people if there's no lights to go with it, or there's no other effects to go along with it. Again, I mean, there's another side to that where people feel some kind of way, and you spend a lot of time seeing a dude clap his hands or put his hands up, and you feel like he's not doing what DJing is supposed to be. And Nick makes a great point. I mean, when you're in a club, it's a different situation. It's a more like intimate feel where you're close to people and you can play. But when you're out touring and you're doing a huge show for thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, it's definitely not the same reaction. It's all about the stage. And I think the big thing, when you see performers that don't have that stage presence and they do a show like that, the effect is not the same. And there's really not much for those guys to do. I mean, outside, even if you were just the best DJ there ever was to play in Scratch and they put it on Jumbotrons, it still doesn't have the same effect for that mass amount of people. So there's a time and a place, but it's a bigger show. Now you're seeing, you know, it's like watching a movie or seeing an artist do a tour. A lot of artists that perform music do the same show around the world, but there's a lot of other elements that go along to make the show a complete thing. So
lights.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now I gotta ask y'all one more question. This is a very big question in today's music culture. Have we dismissed the importance or culture impact of the DJs and what they used to symbolize? Active, I gotta go to you, man. In today's culture, has it been dismissed? Are DJs still important?
DJs are important. I think DJs are important now. They're still important. I mean, they play a big part in concerts. They play a big part in shows, festivals. DJs are important. You have to have a DJ. It moves the crowd.
Nick, gotta give it to you, man. You just came through. How have you feel about today's perception on DJs, man? Is it still how it used to be 20 years ago?
Healthy.
Or is it better?
It's better. Steve Aoki is headlining Madison Square Garden. That's crazy, you know? It's like, if everybody's driving in cars, you can't be complaining like, why aren't we on horses? Like, if you're dope, you're gonna be dope. You were dope in the past, and you're dope with the current technology. Like, you have to be willing to adapt. I think DJing is at a better place and a healthier place than ever before.
Okay. Excel, do you agree?
Yeah,
I agree.
We've all been able to make a living. And a decent living off of this, where at one point you couldn't make that great of a living unless you were, you know, really, really, really well known or something great happened. You won DMC or
championship
or you
and stuff like that.
And there's a lot of people that have been making a decent living off of being here. And again, being in the forefront, and I think it changed a lot of things for guys, whereas, you know, at one point your appearance didn't matter, and now your appearance does
Now you're headliner.
matter. Now, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just be the bummy dude that showed up
in the back
and plays
in the sweatpants.
In the sweatpants, right.
The stakes are higher.
Okay.
And that's great. I mean, never would I have thought we would have been able to travel
be
around the world
and DJ.
off of just playing music. You know what I mean? So, yeah, for sure.
Well, we're going to have to wrap it, fellas. This will always be a never-ending conversation, but we have some greats in the building. Everybody give it up for Nick, DJ Aktive, DJ Excel. Hold it down for the DJ conversation today. Sure.